As the countdown begins to President-elect Donald Trump's second term in office, with his swearing-in ceremony scheduled for the 20th of January, there's a growing sense of anticipation about what his administration will look like this time around and what Trump 2.0 could mean for India-US relations. After a fiercely contested election and a turbulent 4 years, Trump is preparing to take the reins again, and with it, the stakes for US foreign policy are higher than ever before. One of the most important aspects of any new presidential term is the cabinet picks. These choices reveal not just the political direction of the new administration, but also how foreign relations will evolve. And for India, the incoming Trump administration is making some noteworthy appointments that should spark optimism. So what do these appointments mean for India-US relations in the coming years? Hello and welcome. You're watching Statecraft with me, Geeta Mohan. First, let's take a closer look at President-elect Trump's choice for the National Security Advisor. Mike Waltz, known as a vocal advocate for deeper defense and security cooperation between India and the US, Waltz has a long-standing track record of supporting India in its security concerns, particularly when it comes to countering the growing influence of China in the Indo-Pacific region. Waltz is also co-chair of the bipartisan Congressional India Caucus, which works to strengthen India-US ties. His stance on China has made him a staunch ally of India, and his leadership could ensure that US-India security ties only grow stronger in the years to come. Waltz's tenure as NSA could very well be a catalyst for deeper defense and strategic alignment between the two countries. But Mike Waltz is not the only figure in Trump's administration who has shown a strong commitment to India. Enter Marco Rubio, the Florida senator who is set to become the next Secretary of State. Marco Rubio's nomination as Secretary of State is another key development in this pro-India cabinet. Rubio has long been a vocal advocate for stronger India-US relations, and his foreign policy views align closely with India's interests. In fact, Rubio introduced the US-India Defense Cooperation Act in 2023, which seeks to deepen the defense partnership between the two countries in response to China's aggressive expansionist policies in the Indo-Pacific. His position as Secretary of State would give him significant influence in shaping US foreign policy towards India, particularly in areas such as counterterrorism, defense cooperation, and regional security. But let's not forget that the focus on India-US relations under Trump's second term is not limited to just these high-profile appointments. There are also other significant developments on the horizon that will likely have a direct impact on India. For example, Trump has chosen John Ratcliffe as the CIA director. Ratcliffe, who previously served as the Director of National Intelligence, is another staunch critic of China, and his appointment to this crucial intelligence position suggests that the Trump administration will continue to take a hardline stance on Chinese influence, particularly in the Indo-Pacific region. But beyond defense and intelligence, Trump's second-term cabinet also reflects a focus on economic efficiency and reducing bureaucratic red tapeism. Enter a truly unconventional move: Trump's announcement of the creation of a new agency, the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE. In an unexpected and bold step, Trump has appointed two highly influential figures, Elon Musk, the tech mogul behind Tesla and SpaceX, and Vivek Ramaswamy, an Indian-American biotech entrepreneur, to co-head the newly established Department of Government Efficiency. This department's mission is to streamline government operations, reduce bureaucracy, and improve efficiency of US government services. While this initiative is not directly tied to foreign policy, it could have significant implications for India-US economic relations. With both Musk and Ramaswamy bringing a wealth of business acumen and technological expertise to the table, their leadership of the department could reduce the regulatory barriers that often impede smooth flow of trade and investment between India and the US. Ramaswamy, a well-known figure in the US biotech industry, is particularly noteworthy. He's not just an entrepreneur, but also an advocate for innovation and the role of technology in driving economic growth. As head of DOGE, he could play a key role in removing obstacles from Indian businesses looking to operate in the US and vice versa. In fact, despite all the concerns about H-1B visas, it's Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk who had come out and defended the H-1B visa policy against Laura Loomer, and they got into a Twitter fight. Laura Loomer, who is a Trump supporter and a Republican. In fact, Musk's influence could also be a catalyst for greater collaboration between US and Indian tech companies, potentially leading to more joint ventures, research initiatives, and investment opportunities. Earlier, I spoke with US Ambassador to India, Ambassador Eric Garcetti, who was appointed by the Biden administration. And with the transition, he will no longer be ambassador, but he was quite upbeat about what this entire new administration would mean for India-US relations. Also responded to all the speculation regarding why Prime Minister Modi was not invited for the inauguration when they have other world leaders from various other parts of the world who are going to attend Trump's inauguration ceremony. Listen in. President-elect Donald Trump, during campaigning, had said that Modi is a great guy and he really lauded the Indian premier, but also said that we weren't tough enough with India. Trade has been an issue for India-US relations, whether it's the Biden administration or, for that matter, Trump. But what do you envisage is going to become of where India-US relations stand today and where it's going to go, particularly to do with the niggling issues and areas?
Look, we're proud to be India's #1 trading partner now. But President Trump in some ways is right. We have to make sure that we have bigger, bolder conversations. During this administration, we resolved 100% of our trade disputes. So we've kind of set the table. But now, if we are true to our word of wanting to replace over-reliance on China for our supply chain, set up the scale for the world, not just for our companies, but for the world, from healthcare and pharmaceuticals to everyday electronics and the critical emerging technologies, India, I believe, as a cheerleader for this relationship, is the place we should be. But today, even though it's better than it's ever been, and we're seeing huge successes like iPhone manufacturing, et cetera, too many companies are going out of China and going to another country, India, because tariffs should still be reduced further. Transportation and infrastructure can continue to be built on, as we're seeing in an amazing way. Trademark protection, taxes, training, talent of the workforce. So I think America is here to stay and to help partner with India on that. Vice versa, we want more Indian investment in the U.S. And I think a lot of Americans are surprised that India is one of the biggest investors in America, bringing back old steel mills that were shut down, breaking new ground with technologies like electrolyzers and factories that are creating jobs for Americans. So what used to be a one-way street of investment is now a two-way street. And that exchange and those records we're establishing really are changing that conversation to one of equals and equal excitement.
But are things going to get a little difficult? As an ambassador over here, and you've engaged the administration, Dr. Jaishankar was in DC only very recently, and he will be representing India at the inauguration. Why do you think the Trump administration did not invite Prime Minister Modi?
Well, I haven't seen the list of who was or was not invited, so I haven't seen that. But I do know that we have, as a National Security Advisor coming in, Michael Waltz, chair of the India Caucus in the House of Representatives. Marco Rubio, nominated and most likely to be confirmed as Secretary of State, who introduced legislation about making U.S.-India military strategic relations even closer. Two huge cheerleaders of the U.S.-India relationship who will be in charge of President Trump's policy with India. So, trade aside, which I think is an opportunity, not a challenge, but an invitation to have a more honest and deeper conversation, this is going to be building on the success of this administration in the next. I'm confident about that. Because you know what? Leaders reflect their people. And this isn't just a message of Joe Biden and Prime Minister Modi or Donald Trump and Prime Minister Modi. This is our people. It's the Indian immigrants who are such a huge part of our country now. It's the students that are coming from the United States to India, tripled the number that now travel here. Those folks are saying, we believe in these countries. We believe in this relationship. And even in the most challenging moments, we've navigated that with a sort of resilience that, again, I don't think we ever would have pictured 20, 25 years ago, but that does lay a pathway for progress for the world.
But did India show interest in leadership level participation at the inauguration?
I have no idea. I think that will be more meaningful than who shows up in a very large crowd is that first meeting together. And I'm confident Prime Minister Modi will come meet with President Trump early on. And then India will host the Quad this year. So I would expect to see President-elect Trump come here to India in the first year. Those two things on their own would be historic. And to have the External Affairs Minister there speaks volumes.
Should visas be a concern for India under Trump administration? Because we've seen reports of how he is going to clamp down on visas. Should that be a concern for India?
I would certainly hope not. I mean, we've increased visas by 60% since I've been ambassador, reduced wait times by over 75%. Next week we'll announce even further, dramatically down our wait times, hired historic people. And you see the result. Indian Americans who are running universities, Fortune 500 companies, even running states in the United States. So we know we are better when we have the ability to have visitors, travelers, investors, and immigrants come from both countries. So again, I think if we work on immigration in a very sober way together, make sure there's not unlawful entry from any country, such as India, you'll see the Trump administration, I think, look quite positively at that impact, whether it's in technology, whether it's in our rural medicine, where we couldn't find American-born doctors to serve some of the reddest states, but Indian doctors came and provided those services. This is an extremely positive story, and I'm optimistic that pathway will continue.
For the full interview, log on to India Today Global's YouTube channel and you'll catch the entire interview with Ambassador Eric Garcetti. Another important aspect when it comes to India-US relations and Trump's second term is his appointment of Kashyap Patel, also known as Kash Patel. Patel, an Indian-American political figure, has been nominated to a key position in the Trump administration, leveraging his deep expertise in national security and foreign policy. Patel is a well-known supporter of the Trump administration, having served as a senior advisor to the White House Intelligence Committee during a time of major investigations. He has been deeply involved in shaping policy regarding national security, counterterrorism, and U.S. relations with China, and his strong pro-India stance makes him a valuable asset in strengthening India-US ties. As a staunch advocate for closer ties with India, Patel has emphasized the importance of India's role in countering China's growing influence in the Indo-Pacific. Let's also talk about another key figure, Tulsi Gabbard. Trump has picked her as Director of National Intelligence. Former Congresswoman and former presidential candidate, Tulsi Gabbard has been a strong advocate for India-US relations throughout her political career. Known for her outspoken views on foreign policy, Gabbard has been a vocal proponent of strengthening the India-US alliance, particularly in the areas of defense, counterterrorism, and global security. Gabbard has often championed India's strategic role in the Indo-Pacific region and highlighted the importance of the US standing with India as a counterbalance to China's growing influence. In fact, when there's a controversy brewing between India and the US when it comes to murder for hire, charges to have Kash Patel in the FBI and Tulsi Gabbard as Director of National Intelligence, it could help matters, it could help resolve issues between the two countries and iron out the niggling issues and differences. Lastly, another significant appointment is that of Indian-American lawyer Harmeet K. Dillon, who has been nominated by President-elect Trump as the Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights at the U.S. Department of Justice. Dillon is joining a growing number of Indian Americans in Trump's 2.0 cabinet, including figures like Ramaswamy, Patel, and Usha Vance. However, Dillon's appointment comes with some controversy. She has been criticized by some for her past positions on Khalistan-related issues. In 2023, Dillon sparked a backlash when she reacted to a Wall Street Journal report by posting on X, criticizing India's alleged involvement in the killing of a Canadian Sikh activist and targeting other Sikh activists in the US. She has also expressed sympathy for the Khalistan movement, which advocates for a separate Sikh state in India. So what do all these cabinet appointments mean for India? Let's discuss in detail with my colleague Rohit Sharma, who's joining me from Washington, D.C. Rohit, thank you so much for joining me over here on India Today Global. Let's begin with the appointments itself. There are a lot of pro-India appointments that we're seeing in the Trump cabinet. What does it really mean for India-US ties? Where do you see it headed with Trump now taking over as president?
Well, Geeta, look, with Trump, a lot of unpredictability comes in, but this time around, he's gone for the safer option. Marco Rubio who's a China hawk. He's been a senator for a number of years, who's had a position on India as a close ally. He picked him as a Secretary of State. Even with the NSA, the incoming NSA was the chair of India caucus at the Capitol Hill, which is a big deal. So if you look at the entirety of things, we always talk about this a lot of times that, it's a bipartisan support for the Indo-US relationship. Regardless of whoever is in charge of the administration, the relationship will continue to flourish. And I think this is a great example of that. Whenever, anybody who comes in has a chance to put in their people, usually more than what am I saying? Yeah, usually they end up getting somebody who is a pro-India person. So all the appointments, including some of the appointments within the White House, are people who are very pro-India. And I think it's a very good sign for Indo-US relationship. The only concern that some people may have is about the tariffs that Trump has been talking about. And it's an issue that India will have to deal with, like most of the world. But apart from that, I think it's a very pro-India cabinet picks.
Well, I was just going to come to that, Rohit. It's not just about tariffs. There are two major issues over here, tariffs and deportations. Now, President-elect Trump has also threatened with deportations, and Indians could really be impacted. So, where do you see these two issues really headed when it comes to tariffs, trade, and Trump's immigration policy, as also deportation?
Well, let's first go to immigration. I think the point is it has been, ailing the US for such a long time. And one of the things is the southern border. Now, and Trump has said it, his allies have said it, if you are here in the US on a legal work permit, you do not have to worry about it. We've seen the rise of people coming from south of the border, not only from the southern American countries, but also from places like Nepal and India and Sri Lanka and Pakistan. So if you are one of those people who cross the border illegally, you may have to worry if you have a criminal record. And that's what they've been saying for now. So yes, there could be some sizable population of Indian descent that could possibly get hit. But at the end of the day, these executive orders that Trump is going to put together will definitely get challenged in court, in lower courts and higher courts, all the way up to Supreme Court. So there is definitely a chance of that. As far as tariffs are concerned, Geeta, Ambassador Garcetti was correct. I mean, it has been a consensus over here in the US that India does have these high tariffs, and there should be some kind of a trade deal with India. And look, the way Trump operates, and this, Geeta, is he would take an extreme position and then make you work towards where he wants you to be. So he could say, I'm going to have 200% tariff on something, but he probably would want, something around 40%, 30%. So that's how Trump operates. But that's definitely another area of concern for India is the tariffs.
Okay, he might not have set a precedent over here, Rohit, but we are seeing invitations for world leaders like never before. There are a lot of leaders who've been invited, and they will be present for the inauguration ceremony. But in India, the conversation is about why wasn't Prime Minister Modi invited? What are you hearing in Washington, D.C.?
Well, look, to be frankly honest with you, we do not know if the invitation was extended, was it denied, what was going on. But we do know for a fact that Jaishankar is going to be here in DC. He definitely is going to make India's presence at the inauguration. So are the Chinese. I think they're also sending their foreign secretary, if I'm not mistaken. They're also sending their foreign secretary. Now, for other people who have been...
Yeah, Rohit, the Chinese vice minister, no, not vice minister, vice president is going.
Vice minister, my bad.
Yeah, vice president. Yeah.
But then for other countries, and then if you look at it, the list, Italian PM, she met him at Mar-a-Lago. Hungarian, president, prime minister, I think, he met him at Mar-a-Lago. So people who actually met him at Mar-a-Lago have actually been invited. And then, obviously India is a close ally, so you cannot, extend an invitation to to China and not to India. So it all depends. But again, I really do not see an issue with Prime Minister Modi not attending a swearing in. Remember, there's going to be a Quad in 2025, and one of the first trips that the US President Trump will take this year will be to India.
Well, the other information that's coming in, Rohit, is the fact that all Quad foreign ministers are going to be in Washington, D.C., including External Affairs Minister Jaishankar, for the ceremony. So is there a likelihood of a Quad foreign ministers meeting? And will Marco Rubio be confirmed as Secretary of State ahead of the inauguration so that there could be a meeting?
It is possible. Today today he could get confirmed. In fact, there's a famous headline this morning that said he could be solo Rubio, meaning that he could be the only Trump cabinet who would be picked before the inauguration on Monday. So yes, it is possible that Marco Rubio would get confirmed today. I mean, he has a spectacular track record. He comes from the Senate. People love him in the Senate. So yes, that is definitely a possibility that he would get confirmed today, and he will be joining President Trump as the Secretary of State on January 20th.
Now, we've just been discussing this when we were doing the story. It is not just about the great pro-India appointments. There could be a concerning issue with regards to one appointment, Harmeet Dillon. Do you think the fact that she has been pro-Khalistanis in the past could pose problems for India in the future?
Well, let me put it this way. Yes, she's had, some views that India may not hold dear about some of the elements that operate against Indian interest. And you could see why they're, where they come from. She has a family, she has a history, and all that. But I think whenever you assume the role of a position in the government, you are made to toe the line of the government. And I think that's what she will do. If you've seen, some of the closest, her partner, I think, at the firm, her law firm, he went on and went to Twitter and deleted his past tweets. Now, when you see certain things happening like that, Geeta, you mean, the conversation has taken place and they've been told to follow a certain line. And I'm pretty sure she will. And look, I think this is a great opportunity, even for, Harmeet or whoever, to get into the administration and understand how important India is to the United States. And we've seen that happen before as well. People come into this role and, suddenly they have a different point of view because they get access to different kind of data, information. They're participating in high level meetings, and they understand why the government is trying to do something different than their own personal views. So I think it's a great opportunity for Harmeet if she can do that. But if not, we'll have to wait and watch how India reacts if she takes controversial positions once she gets into the office.
Finally, before I let you go, Rohit, there were claims that were made by Sikhs for Justice, a banned proscribed organization here in India, that they've been invited for the inauguration ceremony. It took a lot of people by surprise. Why would the Trump administration or the inaugural committee invite Sikhs for Justice and Guru Patwant Singh Panoon, with whom we have had, or India has had, huge problems, security concerns as well? What's the truth to that invitation?
Okay, so the way you get invited to the inauguration are VIP, VVIPs, and then you have your congressmen who can actually give you tickets. So the JCIC, the Joint Committee for Inauguration, it hands out an X number of tickets to each congressperson of the United States. Now, if you are able to, and there are different ways how they hand out those tickets. Excuse me. So most people do a lottery system. You enter your name and you could get a lottery and you could get a ticket. The screenshots that I've seen are of people, which, as we call them, the Janta ticket, so to say. Anybody in America can go to the National Mall and see the moment, but you're not within the perimeter of the Capitol. So what the Trump events website and Trump's website has done is they've created this form where you can give in your information, your name, your phone number, your email address, and all that. They'll get the data, and they're sending people email that, hey, you're confirmed to get there. I think the screenshots that I've seen are those free tickets that anybody, you don't even need that confirmation to show up. You could actually go and show up. But I really do not believe that Sikhs for Justice have gotten an invitation from anybody within the Trump administration to attend the inauguration. These are, I would probably call, fake claims. These are Janta tickets. Heck, anybody, as I said, even somebody who's not an American citizen can go on the website and still, get this free public ticket to watch the inauguration from the National Mall. So I think that those are
the idea. The whole idea is to get numbers that are way beyond what Obama had or what anybody had, to make it a historic inauguration as well.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, right? They want to obviously beat that record of 800,000 to 1 million people that Obama had. And this is a nice way to also collect data, because remember, National Park Service does not release data on how many people attended the inauguration. So it's another way for Trump administration to say, hey, we gave out tickets to X amount of people, and this is the largest ever gathering for a presidential inauguration. So Sikhs for Justice, they get like 3 Pinocchios for lying. Rohit Sharma, thank you so much for joining us here on
India Today Global will keep coming to you through the next few days to make sure that we have all aspects of Trump's inauguration covered. Thank you. First and foremost, the continued emphasis on defense and security cooperation is perhaps the most significant takeaway from all these appointments. Mike Waltz, Marco Rubio, and John Ratcliffe. Each of these individuals has shown strong support for India and a clear willingness to deepen India-US security partnership. As we look ahead to Trump's second term, India-US relations seem poised to reach new heights with a focus on defense, diplomacy, and economic cooperation that benefits both the countries. Thank you for watching Statecraft.